As China ramps up its use of gray zone tactics, a new report from the Defense Ministry highlights Taiwan's options.
在台海创造一个不对称的作战能力上面，其实是有很大的帮助。
A dispute over land here in northern Taipei has stalled Nvidia's new office project here. Now, other Taiwanese cities see an opportunity to lure the tech giant and its investment to their own backyard.
The top position at the U.S. diplomatic mission in Taiwan has yet to be filled for 8 months and counting.
I do think it would be appropriate and important, as at least a signal of the importance of the relationship between Taiwan and the United States, that the chair position be filled.
Plus, friends and allies around the world are helping celebrate Taiwan's National Day. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao. A new report shows Beijing is stepping up military activity around Taiwan and using hybrid tactics to undermine trust in the government. Alan Liu has more on how Taiwan's defense ministry plans to counter the threat from China.
Gray zone tactics, asymmetric warfare, and US-Taiwan military ties. These are all themes of Taiwan's 2025 National Defense Report. It covers both the threats facing Taiwan and the country's plan to counter them.
主要的内容是呈现过去2年国防施政的实质成效，以具体的事项及数据来展现国防事务的透明度。 对内争取全民对国防事务的了解与支持，对外向国际社会表达我国维护区域和平稳定与坚定自我的防卫决心。
Released on Thursday, the report comes amid rapid military modernization in China, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory and has not rolled out using force to take it. Taiwan has had to adapt quickly by focusing on how to get around its size disadvantage and leverage its geography, as well as using low-cost unmanned weapons. The report emphasizes Taiwan's use of what it calls multi-domain denial, a strategy aimed at hindering China on land, in the air and sea, and in space and cyberspace.
多域拒止为建立多层次的防御纵深，它是依照虚弱战略的一个政策及不对称作战的思维。 针对各种敌情威胁态样及作战形态，严拟克制制胜的一个战术战法。
It's nothing new. Both the U.S. and China have their own multi-domain strategies, but analysts say the report doesn't go far enough in spelling out Taiwan's approach.
美国的 multi-domain 这个多领域作战呢，就是指这个陆、海、空、太空，然后电磁跟网络这个领域。 那然后呢，这个中共的这个新域呢，也大概也是指这些，只是说我们可能没有把它作为一些比较这个更清楚的这样一个发展的方向。
The report also highlights the U.S. role in bolstering Taiwan's defense, but questions remain over Washington's commitment. Last month, the Trump administration dropped a $400 million aid package while seeking a trade deal with China. U.S. officials have also urged Taipei to boost its own defense spending. Still, that didn't stop American arms makers from cozying up to Taiwan at a recent defense expo in Taipei.
其实我们在台北航太展里面已经看到蛮多的这样子一个令人惊艳的合作哦，就是包括我们跟一些那个美国的新创公司的合作，在台海创造一个不对称的作战能力上面，其实是有很大的帮助。这个显然表示说，就台美的其实军事合作这方面，可能应该是还是这个在进行中，应该不会受到影响。
Whether it's China's growing investment in drones or its evolving tactics against Taiwan, the 2025 Defense Report offers little that's new. It's mainly a list of threats and potential responses. For Taiwan, the real challenge now is turning these lessons into action. Fu Huahong and Alan Liu for TaiwanPlus.
President Lai Ching-te welcomed foreign guests at the 2025 Taipei Security Dialogue, praising their participation in the forum as partners in democracy.
这不仅仅是学术政策的交流，更是理念相近国家携手应变挑战、追求和平的重要契机。台湾站在威权主义威胁的第一线，希望凝聚民族伙伴的力量，促进印太区域的稳定发展。
Lai said the forum highlights Taiwan's key role in Indo-Pacific security and the challenges facing the global order. He stressed that Taiwan is boosting its defense spending and looking to strengthen international cooperation. Guests at the forum included former Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison and American conservative think tank leaders. They commended Taiwan's progress in maritime security and commitment to peace in the region. Taiwan will celebrate National Day on Friday. Ahead of the occasion, the country's overseas representative offices are holding their own celebrations, not just to mark the day, but also to highlight Taiwan's presence on the global stage. Cadence Quaranta has more.
Taiwan's national anthem sung loudly in Washington, D.C. As Taiwan's representative office there, its de facto embassy in the U.S., hosts a celebration for Taiwan's National Day, an event that Taiwan's representative to the U.S. used to declare the country's importance on the global stage. At a time when some are questioning the U.S.'s commitment to Taiwan's defense under U.S. President Donald Trump, he also emphasized U.S. support for Taiwan at all levels of government.
Beyond Capitol Hill, support for Taiwan resonates across the United States. 30 state legislatures have passed resolutions affirming closer economic cooperation with Taiwan, championing our international participation, and rejecting the distortions of China's diplomatic pressure. These actions speak volumes about the depth and breadth of American friendship with Taiwan.
Taiwan does not have official relations with the U.S., but it does maintain unofficial ties. Watching on were several influential figures from Capitol Hill, including former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the chair of the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party.
We cannot afford complacency, and our message must remain clear. America's commitment to peace, stability, and Taiwan's self-determination is bipartisan and unwavering.
This is just one of many such celebratory events held across the U.S. and around the world, largely organized by Taiwan's representative offices. This is the scene in New York. And in New Delhi, and Bangkok, across many cities, Taiwan's democracy was brought up again and again, and its strength against authoritarianism, a reference to its neighbor, China, which claims Taiwan and has not ruled out the use of force to bring it under its control. This in London.
We are here to show our respect for Taiwan's history and unique identity, your peaceful, democratic evolution, and your right to continue to live as you are, determining your own future.
Taiwan will also hold its own National Day celebration on October 10th, a large annual ceremony that will gather nearly 200 foreign dignitaries, including from Latin America, the Caribbean, Europe, and other parts of Asia, and President Lai Ching-te is set to speak. So, as Taiwan celebrates this special day, it's also using it as an opportunity to emphasize its connections to other nations and its never-ending fight for recognition and respect on the world stage. Justin Wu and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
Those National Day celebrations in Washington were missing a key figure this year, the chair of AIT, the U.S.'s de facto embassy in Taipei. That's because the position has been vacant for over half a year. To break down what that may mean for U.S.-Taiwan relations, once again, Cadence Quaranta is back with this report.
Here, U.S. Congress members and representatives of Taiwan's diplomatic allies are among hundreds of guests gathered for an annual celebration of Taiwan's National Day in Washington, D.C., but with one noticeable absence. The top official at the U.S.'s de facto Taiwan embassy, its U.S.-based chair, who often attends this event, is missing. That's because right now, the American Institute in Taiwan, or AIT, has no chair. Its previous chair, Laura Rosenberger, exited the post in January as U.S. President Donald Trump started his second term. AIT kept the move low-key, only confirming her departure after local media spotted that she was suddenly listed on the AIT website as a former chair, and that her profile picture and name had been removed from the AIT chair account on X. Now, over 8 months later, the role still has not been filled. TaiwanPlus spoke with multiple people familiar with the matter, including current and former officials from both Taiwan and the US, most of whom requested anonymity, to understand more about what this may mean. We learned from at least 2 sources that conversations about a new AIT chair are ongoing, with veteran diplomat Brent Christensen floated as a possibility. Christensen, who headed the AIT's Taipei office from 2018 to 2021, did not respond to a request for comment on these conversations. Some feel filling this role is important. As the top official at AIT, the chair is an intermediary between the US and Taiwan. The two sides don't have official diplomatic relations, cut off in 1979 when the US established relations with China, but they do maintain unofficial ties, which the AIT chair helps maintain.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome again. It's wonderful to see you here.
For example, they meet with Taiwanese officials when they visit the US.
When you had someone at a senior level come from Taiwan, they want to be shown respect. And having that chairman at that senior level who can say, oh, I talked to the Secretary of State and he asked me to say thank you for something you had done for him a year ago. You know, technically it's not important, but yeah, it really is important.
The chair also helps formulate and execute U.S. policy on Taiwan, participating in U.S. government meetings. When the post is empty, Keegan says it's possible their seat could be filled with someone with less specific expertise on the country.
When it comes to Taiwan-specific issues, they can't say, oh yeah, I was talking to Ray Green in Taipei on the phone yesterday, and we were trying to hash this out, and here's what we heard. That doesn't happen. And that's a weakness, particularly on an issue as sensitive as Taiwan.
Other former U.S. diplomats say filling the role may be an important signal for U.S.-Taiwan relations.
I'm certain it's important to have the chair. I think, you know, the staff who are actually at the AIT missions, you know, in Kaohsiung and in Taipei are doing their job very, very well. But I do think it would be appropriate and important as at least a signal of the importance of the relationship between Taiwan and the United States that the chair position be filled, you know, as soon as possible.
But there are others who view the role as less critical. One former AIT official called the position primarily ceremonial, emphasizing that its responsibilities can now be performed by others. Though the presence of an AIT chair could still be seen as symbolic, the official said, it has little impact on AIT's operations or U.S. policy on Taiwan. A former Taiwan diplomat also pointed out that on central U.S.-Taiwan issues this year, like trade talks between the two sides, U.S. and Taiwanese negotiators were able to meet directly and did not need the AIT chair as an intermediary. Chair vacancies are not necessarily unusual, Keegan said, during periods of transition between U.S. administrations, but this does appear to be the longest gap in recent years. The longest ever vacancy was around 2 years, between 2004 and 2006, but records show there was a designated acting chair during that time. Keegan and other sources say the holdup in appointing a new chair may be due to multiple parts of the U.S. government needing to agree on a candidate, which may take some time. It's also part of a wider trend, as the Trump administration has moved slowly on appointing many senior-level diplomatic positions, many of which remain open. This could have to do with understaffing in some offices, as well as other factors.
It's also because this administration wants to go through a far more intensive political loyalty vetting. Okay? And that means not only are you only getting candidates from one party, you're only getting candidates from one sliver of one party. And that means you don't have a lot of candidates.
This also comes as the Trump administration has several times appeared to undercut relations with Taiwan during trade negotiations with China. And as Trump says, he plans to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping in person later this month. AIT did not respond to a request for comment. In a statement, a spokesperson for the U.S. State Department, which is responsible for recommending a candidate to the AIT Board of Trustees, said it has no announcements at this time regarding the chair position, but stressed that the U.S.'s position on Taiwan has not changed, remaining committed to its one China policy and preserving stability in the Taiwan Strait. The U.S. Senate did also just approve dozens of political appointees, including diplomatic posts, signaling some movement on that front. But for the U.S.'s de facto embassy in Taiwan, it's still unclear how long the wait will be to get its top spot filled. James Lin and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up after the break, peace is on the horizon in the Middle East as Israel and Hamas agree to phase 1 of a ceasefire.
Celebrate Taiwan's National Day with us. Enjoy live coverage of the celebrations, from vibrant cultural performances and expert commentary
to the world,
to the presidential address with real-time English translation. Join the TaiwanPlus hosts for the 114th National Day of the Republic of China, coming Friday, October 10th, 9 a.m., only on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Hamas and Israel are signing phase 1 of a ceasefire deal sponsored by U.S. President Donald Trump. Hamas will release the remaining Israeli hostages it holds, and it's given Israel a list of prisoners it expects released in return. Despite optimism from all sides, this isn't the first attempt to ease the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and it's not clear whether this peace plan will hold. John Van Trieste reports.
Okay. I'm just given. Yeah, I was just given a note by.
This could be the moment remembered as the beginning of the end of the 2-year war in Gaza. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has just handed U.S. President Trump a note saying a deal on the Middle East is near. How soon is hard to say. Despite recent peace talks, this view from southern Israel overlooking the Gaza Strip shows the night sky burning with flares and blasts Wednesday. But from all sides, there are signs of confidence that peace will come soon. Hamas says an agreement to end the war, withdraw Israeli troops, bring in aid, and exchange prisoners is settled. Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu wrote on social media in Hebrew that he will gather the Israeli government to ratify the agreement. And U.S. President Trump may be headed to the Middle East soon.
I may go there sometime toward the end of the week, maybe on Sunday, actually, and we'll see. But there's a very good chance negotiations are going along very well.
The details aren't yet clear, beyond a ceasefire, a release of Israeli hostages, and a withdrawal of Israeli troops to a line that all sides agree on. Aid trucks will also be allowed into the Gaza Strip, helping ease a deep humanitarian crisis there. For Gaza's residents, any end to the violence and destruction of what's now just over 2 years will be welcome. Gaza officials say over 67,000 people have died since the war began, with those who've survived left to deep suffering.
Today ends 2 years of suffering. There is no food or good water, and crossings are blocked. We're suffering. We're in the street. Our kids sleep in the streets. Yesterday and today we bought drinking water, but there's no medicine. We're staying in the street. Where do we go? There's no mercy.
There's deep pain in Israel, too, where mourners gathered to commemorate the 2 years since the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel that killed 1,200 and saw the abduction of over 200 hostages. Israeli President Isaac Herzog condemned what he called growing anti-Semitism in the world, but also looked forward to the release of hostages and maybe peace.
I thank our friends from around the world for their messages of solidarity and condolences, and I extend special thanks to President Donald Trump for his tireless efforts to bring our hostages back home, to bring about real change and a new direction in the Middle East.
Whether the peace will hold is another matter, though. Some, like Israel's far-right Minister for National Security, have insisted on the complete destruction of Hamas. He's threatened to quit the government if this doesn't happen. On Wednesday, he spoke at the Temple Mount, the most sacred site in Judaism and third most sacred site in Islam.
Every house in Gaza has a picture of a Temple Mount, and today, 2 years later, we are winning on the Temple Mount. We are the owners of the Temple Mount. I only pray that our Prime Minister will allow a complete victory in Gaza, as well as the destruction of Hamas. With God's help, we will return the hostages and we will win a complete victory.
Decades of wars, peace talks, and accords have failed to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The question now is, will this one have what it takes? And if not, what then? Hank Xu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
At least 24 people are dead in Myanmar after the country's ruling junta bombed a Buddhist festival. The attack happened on Monday during the religious gathering, which was also an anti-government rally. Witnesses say a paraglider flew over the crowd, dropping bombs on people below. Women and children were among those killed. Myanmar has been embroiled in a deadly civil war since a coup in 2021. The junta has promised elections in November, but rebel groups and outside observers have dismissed them as a sham. China is putting even more restrictions on its export of rare earth minerals. The country's Commerce Ministry has ordered new limits on processing technology, overseas cooperation, and exports to defense firms and chip makers. The new controls are added on top of ones already imposed in April, part of an ongoing trade war with the US. Despite the name, rare earths are actually naturally abundant, but hard to find in pure form and are costly to produce at scale. China has had a near monopoly on the processing of rare earths used in defense since 1980s. Nvidia's plan for a new office in Taipei has hit a snag over the land rights for its proposed location. The city government is pitching a smaller plot nearby as other cities raise their hands, but the central government says it has stepped in to help and that the world's largest company has given them a deadline. Chris Gorin reports.
Nvidia's planned regional HQ building touches down at its proposed Taipei location, the highlight of a keynote speech at this year's Computex trade show. But when it comes to the real-life landing site for this ship, Taipei, we've had a problem. Construction at the firm's preferred location here in the city's northern Shilin-Beitou district has stalled over land rights. The plot's current contract owner, insurance giant Shinkong, reportedly wants more than $460 million to hand this plot over to Nvidia. Now that's over $300 million more than they've paid so far. And that has some city councilors asking, who will pay?
台北市民可以接受吗？土地被人家占着不用，然后3年4年后可以涨价100亿，要台北市来赎身。那他如果不是跟台北市拿，那他就是跟辉达拿咯。
The dispute is over 2 plots of land, known as T17 and 18, at a city science park occupied by Shinkong. Given the land rights dispute, the city is now suggesting this nearby alternative plot, but it's smaller and would likely require buying up adjacent private land to meet Nvidia's needs.
T17、18到现在为止是没有办法继续谈下去。那原则上他们现在会就12来做研究，我们会来这个帮他做整合，那依相关的法令来办理。
A new regional headquarters from the world's largest company with its Taiwan-born CEO would be a prize for any city. And now Taiwan's central government is stepping in to assist Nvidia, saying other cities are still on the table.
我想辉达当然是有他自己的这个考量嘛，哈。那现在他当然现在还在关心的就是北四科这块地嘛。但是据我们了解，辉达也跟我们表示说，他也不排除其他的地方了。
Cities across the country have already raised their hands, from New Taipei City in the north to Kaohsiung and Tainan in the south.
我们特别选了一个交通非常方便的捷运机场线的 A9 站的旁边，这块腹地都有跟私有地，所以这个地的取得没有问题。
如果在台北有碰到这个阻碍的话，也许换一条路到高雄也是一个不错的一个选择。
Nvidia has asked the central government to provide a list of suitable locations by October 24th. Until then, the ship may have to remain in orbit. Devin Tsai and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
Economy Minister Gong Mingxin says the government will work to expand the country's energy storage capacity as quickly as possible. That's after a Wall Street Journal report found that Taiwan's energy reserves would be used up quickly if China were to blockade the country. Liquefied natural gas would be gone after a week, while coal would last about 7 weeks. Aside from increased storage, Gong says Taiwan is developing more renewable sources. The government aims for renewables to make up 20% of the country's energy mix by next year. Taiwan currently imports almost all of its energy. Chip giant TSMC released its latest revenue report on Thursday, hitting new records. Its third quarter revenue was nearly $32.5 billion, up around 30% from the same period last year. The market optimism is likely to continue into TSMC's upcoming shareholders meeting next week. Meanwhile, other leading Taiwanese tech companies, including Wistron, Quanta Computer, and Pegatron, are also benefiting from the global AI boom and the release of the latest iPhone. And thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. You can visit the Taiwan Plus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, let's end today with Taiwan's Honor Guard rehearsing for National Day on Friday. I'm Leslie Liao. Take care and see you next time.